Hello and welcome to another episode of Weekly Waypoint, the show where I lose track of my thoughts immediately, the slightly plague-riddled episode of a show where I talk about my week and the things that interest me. There we go, we got there in the end. If you'd believe it, this is actually the second time I've started recording this. Last night I was running on like 3 hours of sleep and like many more hours of uptime and decided to give up halfway through, so you're actually getting a better version. This week I continued my delving into the world of comics at a rate at which I've never really done before. But I'm not going to talk too much about it because I've already done a video talking about comics this week at length, and I'm also going to do another video talking about what I've currently been reading, which is the new 52 Justice League comics, because while I do like to keep you updated in the Weekly Waypoint, and will continue to, I want to start making actual proper legitimate, official, real good content about comics. I was wondering how many adjectives I could pile in front of the word comics there, content about comics, but I ran out. But yeah, I've been reading the new 52 I've been reading the new 52 Justice League, and it's bloody brilliant, let's leave it at that. I've also been continuing to read Spider-Man 2099 in between bouts of reading a new 52 Justice League. I'm definitely more enamored with the DC side of things for the moment, but I am also still really enjoying what I read of Spider-Man 2099. I think if I hadn't gone on this DC excursion, then I probably would be much further through 2099 right now. I just find the lore of that world fascinating. Like, whenever they mention what happens to like the old heroic age, and like, oh, you'll be joining the original Spider-Man soon, when they're talking about killing Spider-Man 2099, and it's like, things have happened and we haven't seen them, and it's made up this world and we don't know how, and it's interesting. Stuff like that always tickles my pickle. I remember I never even watched a lot of Ben 10. I've seen maybe 5 or 6 episodes of Ben 10, but when I was a kid, there was an episode of Ben 10 set in the future, and it was called Ben 10,000, and you know, Ben was an adult and he had a kid and he was in this futuristic world, and that was the most interesting episode of Ben 10. Again, I only watched like 6 episodes, but I loved that shit. Again, there was also, I've mentioned how I didn't watch Batman the animated series, but I watched the one that came after called The Batman. Well, there was an episode of The Batman which was set in the future as well, and they just, like, archaeologists discovered a Batcave, and they're talking about the fact that he wasn't just a legend, he was real, and that was also one of the most interesting episodes of Batman. And yes, I know I would probably love Batman Beyond for all of these reasons. I have actually watched a few episodes, but yeah, it's just good shit. I'm a sucker for, like, I mean, you already know I like time skips in anime and shit. I'm a sucker for like anything that just, you know, goes into the future and there's like something that's happened in the past which we don't quite know about yet, and like all this futuristic technology and everything's different, and it's just good. It's just great. I like it a lot. On the video game side of things this week, I'm currently in one of those kind of droughts between persistent games where I'm not playing World of Warcraft or ESO or Final Fantasy or anything like that. I mean, I'm still kind of poking into World of Warcraft occasionally, but not, you know, my subscription expires in a few days. I might jump back in with the XP boost, but I might just wait for pre-patch, I'm not sure. But basically, because I don't have a persistent game at the minute, I've been bouncing between games like nobody's business. I've actually been playing quite a bit of Halo Infinite. I've been playing through Season 2, as in, I mean, like, getting my, is it called Rakasha armor up? Rakasha? Or am I thinking of something completely different? I'm getting my Season 2 armor up at any rate, and that's why I look different in this video. I look a bit cooler. The Season 2 armor definitely does not start in a cool place, but I think it does get cooler as you go on. Also, the Fractured event was this week, so I got to tier 20 in the, free battle pass for that one. I'm sure it'll pop up several times again before season 3, so probably safe on that front. I actually did the weekly ultimate challenge, which is something I haven't done since early season 1, but that gets you a armor coating or skin color or whatever the fuck they call it, which isn't the craziest, but I mean, they're selling dull blue on the store for over £3, so they probably think it's a really crazy and cool armor color to give away for that much gameplay. It's basically just faded blue with like faded yellow on the head. That's pretty much it. But with these free armor that they give you in these Fractured events, I think the whole point of the 33 battle pass tiers they give you is that even when you make your way through all of that, you still can't make it look that cool. You've got to spend money in the shop for that, And yeah, if you can't tell, I'm becoming a bit disillusioned with the not that I've ever really been illusioned with it, but pretty disillusioned with the way they sell their cosmetics, especially in comparison to places like Fortnite, which for sure has its own problems but does not hold a candle to Halo Infinite's problems, which is a shame because I think Halo Infinite does have some pretty cool armor cosmetics. Like, it's not as immediately cool as completely unique skins like you find in something like Fortnite, but they do have a decent variety of options for Spartan armor cores. And I actually do like the armor core system of having different armor cores which you can add stuff to. I know people hate it because it's restrictive and stuff, but I think as long as you make enough items available on multiple cores, you can still have core specific stuff. But I think they said they're looking into scrapping that system anyway, so fuck me, I guess. But yeah, I played a whole bunch of Halo, and it felt good because as much hate as this game gets, people forget it's a fucking brilliant game in its own right. The multiplayer is really fucking fun. I played some campaign as well, that's really fucking good and shit, and the problems people have with this game in terms of cosmetics and stuff usually overrides the conversation and makes it. I just realized I like how I'm praising the gameplay, and here I'm like, well, I've just got into a really stupid gameplay situation, so we're just gonna speed through the rest of this match. The other game I played, actually not the other game, I've played so many games this week. I've dipped my toe into so many fucking Game Pass releases. I've played like 5 minutes of almost each one, but I did play a decent bit of Grounded with Reese, the game which is basically Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, and you play as the kids. It's a survival crafting game, unless you're scared of bugs, in which case it's a survival horror game. I'm not scared of bugs, but it's fun playing with someone who is. Reese isn't that scared of bugs, but you know, it's fun all the same. It's, I put it up there with Subnautica in the kind of survival game that's worth making. Like, everyone makes the same survival game, right? Everyone makes the same, either you're trapped on an island, Conan Exile style, not that I've even played that game, or you are trying to go to space. Those are the two survival games that everyone makes. Games like Subnautica and Grounded instead take like a theme and go hard on it and like make it super thematic, and it's cool. I like it. I'm not articulating this very well, but leave me alone, I'm ill. I always wish Subnautica had a co-op mode, so I'm really glad that Grounded does. It adds a lot of fun, and yeah, just venturing around in this back garden at a tiny height, like collecting drops of water from grass to drink, and you know, cutting down stems of grass like they're trees and stuff like that. It's all really cool. Like, at a concept level, when I first heard about it, when it first came to early access, I was like, I guess it's cool, but when you're actually in there and immersed, it's really, really fucking cool. Just seeing how everything kind of like comes together, like what you use as crafting resources, how the armor looks, stuff like that. What your objectives are, the kind of lore of the world, and what you're trying to do to get big again. Glad I waited for it to leave game preview. Speaking of a survival game that's come to game preview, that would be not Valhalla, that would be Valheim. And I've heard so many good things about Valheim, and I also dipped into that with Reese for a bit, and I can see why. And I'll probably play a bit more of that. That is a game I think I will play in game preview, but I am also very excited for its actual legitimate full release, though, with achievements, please. I know it's supposed to be releasing on console next year, which is assumedly their launch window that they're aiming for 1.0, so one would assume that it'll probably have achievements at some point no matter where it lands, because if you publish a game on Xbox console, it's got to have achievements. That's my understanding, at least, unless it's a free-to-play game, maybe? Valheim is not that. But again, Valheim didn't grab me as much as Grounded did, because Valheim, even though it's got like the Norse aesthetic going on, it is still, like I mentioned, it's just another kind of like wilderness survival game. I'm sure I feel like I heard voices cry out in horror as I said those words. I know it's got like different zones and progression, and it's a really fucking good one of those, but I feel like games like Grounded are much more likely to get me interested because what they do with the survival idea. Played some other games too, but they're not important. You know what is important? The fact that I just got a triple. Ooh, baby. Grab the camera. No. The fact that it is October. It is spooky month, my dudes. It is the best month of the year, in the best season of the year, at the best time of the year. And there is, like, not only is it October, and not only do I fucking love October, but it's also fucking stacked with shit that I'm so excited for. Next week, Bleach comes out. Can't remember if I've spoken much about Bleach on the Weekly Waypoint, but Bleach 1000 Year Blood War, if for those uninitiated, is a continuation of the anime that ended about 10 years ago. And Bleach. I've got a whole video on my channel called What Bleach Means to Me, so if you're curious to hear me completely fucking nerd out about Bleach and why it's so important to me and why I love it so much, you can go and watch that video. But the long and short of it is, it was my very first anime, and while it has its problems, its ups and downs, I do just love that world. I rewatched, I forgot to mention this, this should have come up in last week's Weekly Waypoint, I think, based on when I watched this, but I recently rewatched the Hellverse movie, which I haven't done in 10 years. Again, 10 years. Maybe it wasn't 10 years then. I'm not sure. Anyway, I recently rewatched the Hellverse movie, and that movie is fucking brilliant. If you're gonna watch one Bleach movie, make it that one. But don't watch it until, like, after you've watched Ichigo vs. Ulquiorra, in Las Noches. I probably pronounced that wrong, because otherwise you'll be spoiled on something that happens in the very first scene, because there was a fight scene so fucking awesome, they decided to animate it twice. Wait, sorry, I'm getting away from the point here. Bleach 1000 Year Blood War arc is going to animate the final arc in the manga, which, again, no one's really talking about this now because we're all just super hyped for the Bleach anime to come out, but that arc does have its issues, but we're kind of hoping that the anime is going to solve those issues, because a lot of those issues just came down to pacing, because the mangaka who made it was under pressure to wrap up the series more quickly than he would like to, which fucking sucks. And from the looks of the trailers, it does look like they're going to go into more detail about certain fights that happen and certain things which happen, so hopefully they do this arc justice. But it's not necessarily like it's the arc everyone's super hyped to see because it's an amazing arc. It's more like we're just really fucking happy that Bleach is back, and it looks super high quality as well. It is a cut above the Bleach of the past. Like, they have pumped this thing full of budget and animation quality, and it just looks super clean, and like the coloration of stuff like Ichigo's Getsuga Tensho move is more relevant to how it actually looks in the manga. That's not the right word, but you know what I mean. I'm just fucking stoked for it to come out. So that's one awesome thing that's happening this October. Another awesome thing, a game which has low-key been on my radar since it was announced, is Scorn, coming to Game Pass in about 2 weeks, and that is a game I am going to live stream because I'm not really much of a horror guy, right? Because most horror is just like set in real life with either serial killers, which is kind of boring, or like supernatural elements, which is less boring, but you know, it's still like, if this was a fantasy, we're talking low fantasy here, we're talking set in a real modern world. Whereas I'm more into high fantasy, which is completely made up fictional worlds, and if there's a horror equivalent to high fantasy, that's what Scorn is. Scorn seems to be made up in a completely unique fleshcraft, Lovecraftian world. Just looks like the kind of game that would be brilliant to play for the first time on stream, because it's going to be full of reactions of, oh, what the fuck? Like, it's gross looking, dude. Overwatch 2 is another October video game release that comes out tomorrow. I keep going back and forth on my hype for Overwatch 2, being completely ambivalent about it to being very excited about it. I think I'm finally starting to swing back around to being excited about it again, but boy do I keep changing my mind. But there's a whole bunch of controversies around it, like you have to have your phone number to play the game. I'm like, yeah, that's just two-factor authentication. Everyone's like, they're trying to read all your fucking emails and shit, and I'm like, I'm not sure that's how that works, but okay. There seems to be some concern over you know, them like also doing a thing where they're trying to listen in on your voice calls by the use of like AI algorithm to see if you're being toxic. Pretty sure they'd only be able to do that through their own in-game voice chat, so just don't use that. If you're paranoid, just use Discord. But I'm pretty sure other games like Valorant have been doing this for ages already, so it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, Blizzard deserves a lot of flack for a lot of the things it's done, but also it is kind of just a whipping boy for any video game headline because of how much everyone already hates them. Also, I'm not really fussed about heroes being in the battle pass because I plan to get the battle passes anyway, but yeah, I guess that sucks if you're the kind of person who doesn't have income. If you're like a teenager or something and you can't really afford the battle pass, or you're just unemployed, or in a very likely scenario, you can't afford to buy things in video games because of the fucking state of the economy right now. You need to spend that money on bills. That's fair too. I'm a little bit more privileged in my current living situation, so I'm able to buy the battle passes, but I can see why people would be frustrated with that. Just putting this out there though, like, it doesn't really specifically affect me because I can spend the odd £6 or £7 for a battle pass every few months. Lucky enough to have a steady job and all that. Yeah, I don't think they should put heroes in a battle passes. That's dumb, but it's not going to stop me personally from playing. I imagine what they'll do, what they should do, they might have already said they're doing it and I've just misremembered it and decided this is something that I think they should do. is they will make the hero that was in the previous battle pass available to everyone when the new one comes out, because otherwise you literally have no access to that hero ever, and that would be really stupid and dumb, and I'd hate it. Then again, this is Blizzard, so who knows. Persona 5 Royal comes out on Game Pass this month as well. I'll give that a look. I'm not exactly hyped for it, but it's a notable thing because I'm definitely going to give it a try based on all the hype. There's a bunch of things happening in October that I can't even remember right now. I just know that every time I see something exciting, it seems to have the month of October attached to it, and I get excited again. So yeah, best time of the year, and it's going to be a good one of them too. So yeah, look out for that. I am hoping to live stream a little bit more, like just in terms of like random games and stuff. I've started doing that on YouTube instead of Twitch nowadays. Over at Kritigri Live, you can get the live stream straight from there, instant HD VODs, which is very nice. So go head over to that channel. youtube.com/StarkRavingPenguin is the URL. Still got that old URL from about a decade ago now. So go there if you want to see me play some spooky horror games. I might do more than just Scorn this month. I might do a few of them. I've never really streamed a spooky game. The closest I've done is make a video about me playing Dead Space a few Halloweens ago, which was very fun. I did try and make a video last year of me playing was it Inside or something like that, but it just turned out to not be very spooky, so I didn't end up making the video. But I'll live stream it this time. Anyway, that does it for this video. Thank you for watching. Let me know what you're excited for in October, Halloween wise. Leave a like on if you liked the video, and I'll see you next week.